Good morning, everybody. God for His goodness and for His loving kindness. He's a merciful God, always providing for us. I think in this area of provision, when we say always providing for us, we are very limited in our scope of reception. We always think of things tangible, but God is always providing for us in the sense of wisdom and knowledge and understanding, and especially understanding. I wish we could relate that area of understanding and that area of our lives, the spiritual side, is as much of assets as we value things that are tangible. I want us just to have a sober reflection and sober conversation around the subject of fasting. I think especially people that have some kind of security, job security, especially financial stability, there's a lot of irregular taste for fasting, which is not really wise because of the, I don't know what to call it. There's a veneer of invincibility, a membrane of a veil. Let me call it a veil that gets over our eyes, people's eyes, and makes people feel very safe and untouchable. But everybody has problems. Everybody's got issues, and want to encourage, especially my young guys, young professionals, busy working, everything is going well. You're thriving, you're at the height of your career, you're in demand, you're sought after. Well, just want to bring you to a place where we understand that fasting is very important. Fasting is a very important diet of our spiritual food. We have to fast. We have to vary the things that we do so that we maintain spiritual agility, spiritual health. Matthew 17:21, Jesus Christ admonishes, he says, "This kind goeth not but by much prayer and much fasting." So today yesterday we spoke about how fasting will help us to avert disasters. Looking at the way Esther averted a genocide by leading a national prayer and fasting for 3 days. Well, we want to follow on to that and talk about difficult situations that are beyond comprehension, beyond the grasp and scope of your qualification, education, expertise. Whether as a parent, as a spouse, as a professional person, just difficult things that just come to cause an uncharacteristic shift in your trajectory, an uncharacteristic shift in your stride. Well, Jesus Christ says we have to attend to things like that with much prayer and with much fasting. I've watched, even just calling things to memory in conversations with friends and with family, just looking at people we know, people we've known, where things end up very, very wrong. And there's a certain place where you can tell, you can identify that that's where that vehicle veered off. And it's not that people would not have sought help. People would have sought help. People would have gone everywhere. And I think sometimes the default, the scapegoat, is to blame those that were helping us, those that were on the other side of the desk offering greater wisdom. But I've come today with a different approach that we need to take matters into our own hands. Much fasting means much fasting. Getting on a fast. I've often heard of great men of God who talk about how they took out a whole year to pray and fast for a situation to change. For a child that was disabled, took out a year and prayed and fasted until that child could walk. A child that said learning disabilities, couple take out a whole year to fast and pray and seek God's hand in their situation. And that issue was resolved. Now, even in the issue of the case in point we're discussing, our reference, there's a child involved. And I've watched friends who have children that have some kind of disability, whether it's learning or mental. I've seen how it's like it's a life sentence that you can see that these people's lives have ended with before they've begun. And yes, with support, especially in different parts of the world, with support, the child begins to thrive. But that stigma, that thing remains. And I've often wondered, what would happen if people really prayed? What would happen if people really prayed? Do people really listen to stories? Or we don't want them, we avoid them because it's too difficult, it's too, we don't have the faith or the time or the patience. But I've had testimonies of parents who have, fathers who have taken it upon themselves to fast 365 days a year, just seeking God. One meal for the whole year, one small meal at the end of the day. I'm pushing this mountain. I'm not going to stop. I'll be relentless until this thing moves. I want to challenge you, whether it's a church that is struggling to grow, whether it's a ministry team that is not gelling in, the chemistry is not working, whether it's finances that are not just coming together, whether it's just personal walk or the maturity of communication, the communication network is not catching the signal that you're sending, whether it's projects, building projects, whatever projects that are just not taking off. I want to tell you that, it's spiritual. Money doesn't build. No. Money doesn't build. The spirit builds. It's wisdom. It's wisdom that builds. They marveled when they saw what Jesus Christ was doing, and they said, what wisdom is this, that even great works are wrought by his hands? It's that spirit of wisdom, to enter into that realm, to step up into that realm. Isaiah 11 verse 2 releases, dispenses, the wisdom, the spirit package, the anointing package in which Jesus Christ would function in. But we see how Jesus Christ enters or grows, matures into that platform. Before he did anything, 40 days and 40 nights, just was out there, just imbibing, just downloading, just garnering, just building himself up. I wonder what would happen if we decided, if you and I decided today, quietly. And this is the thing, that we make a lot of noise about these things, and but if you follow the example of Jesus Christ, it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful example. And don't know if you've ever wondered that spiritually we're led by very slim people, very lean, mean people, just very serious, grave, very studious people with a look and a brokenness, a gaunt look and a brokenness about them. And I wonder if you've ever thought of the attraction. What draws us to people like that? It's the power. Power. So Jesus Christ is telling us that it's quantifiable. The results you access, it's quantifiable to the time you invest. It's relatable to the time you invest in your spiritual exercise. So I want to move on with this reflection, just to contend beyond averting disasters, moving difficult things. But one of the beautiful uses of function of fasting. I'm going to tell you a lot of stories. I remember different people who used to come to my house for prayer. And I remember how my parents used to prescribe, how they used to sentence people to fasting. And I cannot forget how people would come early in the morning to pray, start their day with us, 5 o'clock, sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning. Then they leave the house, they go. And then in the evening at 6, they meet again. If the husband is coming from work, meets his wife at my house, and there'll be prayer for an hour or so, and then we share a meal with them, and then they go away. Sometimes that would happen for 3 months. Sometimes that would go on for 6 months. Every day. Then Friday, it was terrible Fridays. There was Friday was big night for us because there was Kung Fu on Friday. If it wasn't Kung Fu, I think there was wrestling at some point, or it was a Sunday night. And then there was this spy film, The Crooks. Really loved those, but they were always interrupted by people who came home to pray. And it was during that time, towards those late hours, that prayer would really be flowing. So you can see that these people have come home around 6 and break bread, break fast, and break the fast. And then from that time, there's ministry of the word, encouragement. And from then on, hours and hours in prayer. And I can tell you, I saw lives changing. I was young, but I could see the changes. Even now, I'm still in contact with some of those people. And when we talk, they are always affirming that the time when things changed in their lives, it was during those times of prayer. I think we should invest more. I think we should invest more. We're entering the second quarter of the year. What is 2025 looking like? What is the vision board saying? Are there green ticks? Do we have more green ticks on the board there? Or there's a couple of red X's? And if so, what is our response? What is our response of faith? What is our spiritual response to the things that are not? We should call them as though they were. And we do it in prayer. I mean for this to be a sober conversation. Whether you are rerouting, thinking of taking a separate route with your life, starting a new journey, rebranding yourself, starting all over again, whatever that looks like. Let's take the Jesus model. Take some time to pray. Take time to pray. Take time to pray. Take time to pray. Life, generally, we transact life on this war platform and it's a war of attrition, simply meaning that it's about who gives up first. It's just an assault on your resolve and on your grasp of, the ideal and the aspirations, what the ideal life. And the deal here, the deal breaker is who gives up first. So let's not be broken down, let's not be worked down, let's not be fatigued. Let's resolve to fast. Let's start again. Yeah, no, that issue that you prayed and you until you forgot what you were praying. Let's start again. Come on. Let's start again. It's not going to come easy, but that paperwork, that contract, whatever paperwork, everything is spiritual. Shuffle it up to the top of the shelf through prayer. That call that must come, that email that must come, seek it out in prayer. Fish it out. Everything is spiritual. All right. God bless you. Have a good rest of the day and week. And let's resolve to pray. That thing that you're facing, right? Thing that is at the top of your, not worry list, but prayer list, faith list. Come on. Let's engage the force of heaven. Let's fight at the level of the conflict. Let's not be talking and crying and being philosophical and being intellectual about spiritual things. After we've been intellectual, let's be spiritual. Let's come down to the level of the conflict and let's do better. That proposal that has been receiving, cold shoulders at initial levels. You're just discussing, you're just testing, you're just probing the waters, and everyone is just that opening for you to lead that inquiry, that investigation, that audit, whatever level, whatever sphere. Come on. You're a child of God. There's a way to do things. This is one of the ways. Have a good day. God bless you. You're a champion. You're a winner. You're destined for great things. You're destined for the top, for the apex. All right. God bless you. Have a good day.